U.S. budget deficit is expected to break through the $1 trillion barrier this year, according to the Congressional Budget Office. That's the first time that's happened since 2012. Join us now to talk about deficits. Taxes, today's USMCA signing, and more. Congressman Kevin Brady, ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee, the author of the president's first round of tax cuts. We hear there might be a 2.0 round of tax cuts, Congressman. Anything that would maybe raise revenue if we continue to cut taxes, if we assume that trillion-dollar deficits are going to be something we need to deal with?
Yeah, so we do. So the Congressional Budget Office, was pretty clear yesterday that the tax cuts and stronger economic growth is reducing the deficit by over $700 billion over the next decade. And they make it clear, too, if the individual cuts aren't made permanent, growth will slow and deficits will increase. So I think job number one is to make those cuts permanent for families and small businesses. Secondly, we believe there's more growth to be had in the economy. Obviously, we're pushing hard to make those tax cuts permanent. Secondly, President Trump's all about working families, and so he wants to see another tax cut focused on middle-class families. We also, as Republicans, we are developing a growth agenda for the 2020 election in contrast to the Democrats' taxing agenda. And part of that will be making sure America is the most innovation-friendly country on the planet. Our global competitors are really aggressive here. 6 countries have already lowered their corporate rates since we did. They have very aggressive innovation tax policies. I think the country that wins the innovation race, frankly, wins the future on the globe. And so that means jobs, more opportunities for families, and, yeah, more revenue for the federal government.
There are some other projections recently going out 5-10 years that were just mind-boggling, caused by one thing, and that's entitlements and Medicare and Social Security, but numbers that were much bigger than the number that we're talking about right now, Congressman. Yeah. And doesn't seem to be the most difficult thing maybe to address if you get the president to acknowledge it needs to be addressed, but he's still doubling down on I'll never touch Medicare. So what do you need to do?
So you're right. Even with record revenues coming into Washington these days, a lot of our automatic spending is driving the deficits, and will increase them in the future. And, I don't think we resolve those unless both parties are willing to come together, make some tough decisions. We've got to look, we're a decade away from real trouble with Social Security. Medicare is already heading to trouble with the hospital trust fund. We're going to have to address this, and you're going to need Republicans, Democrats, and the president on board to do that. I know the president's looking at, so how do we come together on these deficits in his second term? I think that's the right approach. We have to tackle it, and we have to tackle it together.
Representative Brady, it's Rick Reeder. We, one of the things that's been a foundation of the Republican Party is fiscal conservatism and prudence around. You look at the deficit number, while I completely agree with you, we can grow revenues, and as a country, there are a series of initiatives to do that. But you're also talking about significant deficits, and then we're going to talk about an infrastructure plan, no matter who is elected going forward, of potentially significant size. How do you think about when you build the debt? You go through cyclical periods in an economy and times where it's stressful to have that much of a burden in the economy. How do you think about that? Yeah,
so I think, look, we have a real opportunity right now. Interest rates are low. We're paying on our debt, but it's nowhere near what that would be each year when the interest rates return to normal. And so we have a window here, Rick, where we need to tackle these issues, and we need to tackle them now. We have an aging population that's driving so much of our health care, our Medicare, our Medicaid. There are solutions to it. I think a number of commissions have laid out for Congress how you take a balanced approach. And at the end of the day, it will take, but I know Republicans are willing to go to the table right now to sit down with their Democrat friends to tackle this. We know it won't be easy, but we can't put this off.
Would you be willing to go to the table and sit down with Democrats and offer to cut defense spending in order to get them to agree to cut some of the spending that takes place here domestically? Well,
I have to tell you, you can make the whole day-to-day operation of government disappear, and you're going to end up you're going to run up deficits in the future because 2/3 of our budget is on that automatic spending, on Medicare, Medicaid, Social, all of those. And so for us, in Congress, we've got to have an adult conversation about how we save those programs, how we do it the right way, and it's going to be tough, but we can do it. There are solutions.
Congressman, real quickly, just last but not least, Rick Reeder talked about, and he knows a lot about that we're going to stay low for a long time with interest rates, possibly. Do you think that has given us, members of Congress, a false sense of complacency that this is really not urgent, we can handle this, and debt's something, deficits we can run, and we're going to take care of it with growth? I mean, our people don't seem very worried about it.
No, I think there are. To be honest, I don't really buy those media narrative that people don't care about the deficits anymore. I know among Republicans, it's the key issue for us, but we're going to need a partner. Our budgets, as we propose them, not just get back to balance. We actually I've always had plans to pay off the debt over time, make it a reasonable side or zero. This year, I don't think Democrats are even bringing the budget forward like last year. Kind of tough to plan for the future if you can't even start with a yearly budget.